I'm Rob Thomas, editor-in-chief of Club and Resort Business, and we've got a terrific podcast guest today, Shawn Cox, PGA Director of Golf at Sharon Heights Golf and Country Club in Menlo Park, California. They just went through a huge course renovation. Plus, they are going to be introducing something new to the club in the coming year. So, before we get to that, let me tell you that today's sponsor is Texacraft. Texacraft has been an outdoor commercial furniture leader since 1975. For more than 40 years, they've been a trusted and reliable source for country clubs and resorts. Texacraft is committed to not only providing a quality product, but a quality experience for all customers. They don't just take pride in what they do, they take pride in how they do it. Learn more at texacraft.com. Now, let's get to the news real quick. Let's not spend too much time on it because we're going to start with a little sad news. No disappointing news. I don't know about sad, but disappointing, obviously. Uh, After more than a century of serving its members, 122 years to be exact, and the Wheeling, West Virginia community, the Wheeling Country Club has announced plans to close on December 31st. The decision comes after years of significant challenges, as shared in a letter sent to members. The club is pledged to continue providing exceptional service and experiences for all guests and events until its final day of operation. Again, December 31st. Meanwhile, discussions are underway to explore future uses for the property. Collaborations with Oglebay and other local stakeholders are being considered as part of this process. Speaking of Oglebay, it is right there. Two championship golf courses, another little golf course on property. Beautiful property. I was there not too long ago, not too many, probably 5 years ago now. It's been a while, but I mean, it's literally right there. Oglebay is this big property in Wheeling, West Virginia. They have a zoo, and then there's Wheeling Country Club. So it's all one close property. If Oglebay could somehow absorb the golf course, that'd be fantastic. Fingers are crossed. We don't want it to turn into a housing development or a shopping center. Got enough of that. Let's keep more golf. I just had, as a matter of fact, somebody on my TikTok account. And yes, I have a TikTok. I don't have an OnlyFans, just a TikTok. So nobody wants to see anything beyond the TikTok. But one of the guys was saying how the Palmer course is, I believe that's chef's kiss. And it certainly is. It's a fantastic golf course. So fingers are crossed that they can somehow absorb the golf course at Oglebay. Heritage Golf Group is also in the news. An owner and operator of private country clubs and high-end daily fee courses across the U.S. It acquired its 39th course. I think it's Ptarmigan Country Club in Fort Collins, Colorado. P as in Ptarmigan, like P as in pneumonia. That's a funny little way to spell Ptarmigan, but there is a P in there. The Flack family, who owned the club for more than 20 years, selected Heritage as the purchaser. This acquisition marks Heritage's fourth property in the greater Denver area, further strengthening its presence in Colorado. The other three properties in the area are award-winning daily fee courses, the golf club at Bear Dance, Plum Creek Golf Club, and Colorado National Golf Club. We just had an article. I think they had those last three all at the same time. They acquired them from a certain group. So good on Heritage Golf Group, keeps growing and strengthening the Denver area. Last but not least, Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort Hotel in Worley, Idaho, has unveiled a state-of-the-art indoor golf and entertainment venue, Circling Raven Golf Suites, where golfers and non-golfers can immerse themselves in interactive fun, choosing from a variety of games. With access to more than 80 iconic courses, like the old course at St. Andrews and Pebble Beach, the simulators bring every slope, tree, green to life with breathtaking detail. I believe they used about golf. Between games, guests can relax in style with plush lounge seating, HD TVs, and music while savoring food and drinks delivered from select casino eateries. They have not only the regular traditional screens, I think the 15-foot screens, but they also have this like 31-foot curved screen, which goes for an extra price, but it's got a lot of detail to it. So good on Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort Hotel. with all the news taken care of, we got our sponsor out of the way, a little teaser for the podcast. Let's throw it right to Shawn Cox, Director of Golf at Sharon Heights Golf and Country Club. Hello, welcome back to Club and Resort Talks podcast. I'm here with Shawn Cox, PGA Director of Golf at Sharon Heights Golf and Country Club in Menlo Park, California. Shawn, welcome to the show.
I love it. Glad to be on. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for joining us. Hey, you got a lot going on there at Sharon Heights. If you could, before we get into the particulars, the meat and potatoes, could you give us a 10,000-foot view of the property?
So the property sits south of San Francisco by about 25 minutes. It's in Menlo Park. We're about 1 mile from the Stanford campus. So a lot of you know Palo Alto. It's a bigger known city. The golf course is built in 1962 by a gentleman named Jack Fleming, who worked for Alistair McKenzie. Kind of a part of town that didn't have much more than kind of summer homes and a little bit out of town. And then along came Silicon Valley. And we're right on a road called Sand Hill Road, which is part of some of the largest venture capital companies as well in the United States.
So, you guys are coming off a major renovation of the golf course. Can you talk a little bit about the renovation itself? I know that you're fairly new to the property
Yeah.
compared to the renovation itself. So you kind of joined in progress, correct?
Yeah, so I came from Southern California, worked for 30 years down in San Diego and managing golf courses down there. I was very aware of the soil that you have in California in a lot of areas. It's a clay-based soil. And I figured, Northern California was in a different boat, but actually they have the same problem with soil. And this golf course over the years had a very difficult time through the rainy season of, being able to get carts out there, even mow the grass. They used to, couldn't get a mower on it for a couple weeks if you had a big rainstorm. And so some of the members, saw that some of the other courses in the Bay Area had gone through some pretty major remodels, and they decided they were going to go all in. And it started about 5 years ago with building actually our own water reclamation plant. So we have a plant that picks up the water from the toilets and all that kind of stuff from the local area. And we process the water right here on property to use on the golf course. So if we ever get into, these drought situations in California and we spend all this money on all this new grass and everything, but, they cut you off from water, that wouldn't be a good thing on your return on your investment. So they did that first. And ultimately, they brought in architect Todd Eckenrode, who's been very busy here in California. And he brought it back to kind of that Alistair McKenzie, Cypress Point, Pasatiempo kind of look with the fescue around the bunkers and all that. And to do it right, they basically needed a new sprinkler system. So they scraped everything, brand new sprinkler system, 6-inch sand capping in every fairway, brand new greens. What makes it unique is the bent grass fairways, ryegrass rough, obviously bent grass greens, but that dark green look that we have every day. There was one other major part of the project that when this course was built, they started with little, 3-4 foot redwoods that they planted, to frame each hole. And after 50, 60 years, those are over 100 feet tall. And those eat up about 500 gallons of water a day. They're actually not native to this particular area because we don't actually get as much rain as most people think in this part of the Bay Area. And so that started with a master plan with arborists, and they removed 300 redwood trees. We put back in about 200 trees, mostly native oaks, and basically opened up a lot of areas for sunlight to hit fairways, views from hole to hole where you used to kind of feel like you're going down a bowling alley. Now you can see other holes. And with all the sand capping and 21 miles of drain pipe, they actually, when they started the project, they estimated how much drain pipe it would take. And when they got out in the field, they ended up using about 30% more, and it ended up being about 21 miles of drain pipe. and 2,200 truckloads of sand for all the sand capping. So, big project, brand new golf course, opened June 1st for 9 holes, and I can go more into that if we want to talk about that as well.
Sure, sure. I mean, wow, that's an awful lot. A big undertaking. Uh, the logical next step was, or question, I guess, would be, what are your members saying?
Yeah. So it was kind of we didn't open all 18. We had a little problem. Next door, we have an office complex that actually had some water runoff onto our golf course in the seeding process. So we had a couple of fairways wash out, and it didn't make sense to try to reseed them until A, that problem was fixed, and B, till we got out of rain season. So we reseeded those in about late March, and those came on board at the end of September. But we opened for 9 holes on June 1st, and the reception has been incredible. We opened for all 18 a couple months ago, and the feedback has been tremendous. Obviously, it's new grasses, it's, views that you didn't have before. We've had some rain. We had about 2 inches of rain last week, and we had carts on the golf course 2 days later. And one of the things that the architect did, which is always kind of a little bit of, do you do it? Do you don't do it? We did not do a continuous cart path. We figured with the sand capping that we would be able to get carts out, pretty quickly after rainstorms. So aesthetically, for the architect, by only putting cart paths around tee boxes and greens and on the par threes, you've got a lot of grass out there to give you that beautiful natural look. And ultimately, the other thing that one of the biggest shockers of moving to Northern California was actually to see how many people carry their bags and use pull carts or electric pull carts to play golf here in the Bay Area. They think of it kind of as an exercise. They're going out and getting their steps in by playing golf.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's good news for your members and your golfers out there getting to play golf after, or getting to ride a cart if they want to, only 2 days after. So you weren't there, but prior to, they had a continuous cart path run through?
They did. They did. And with that continuous cart path, you could, obviously say it's cart path only, but they had the issue that the golf course itself was so wet that you had balls plugging. We are actually seeing ball roll on drives. Members love it. So some of the members, think the course is a little shorter because now their ball rolls. It didn't in the past, even in the summertime, because they were trying to keep some of the grasses alive. They'd water the course and it didn't drain very well. So you had some of those wet places and wet spots. But ultimately, the greens have a little bit of a challenge. Anytime you close a golf course and redo it, your members lose, all those years of local knowledge on the greens. So rounds of golf are taking about 10, 15 minutes longer than they used to because people are, having to look at their putt a little bit more than they used to. But overall, the bunkering is absolutely beautiful. Some of the members, need a little help getting out of some of them, but that's part of the business. That's my job as a golf professional, is teach them how to get out of the bunkers or stay away from them.
I was going to say, that's why you got PGA after your name, right? You got to help those golfers out.
Exactly.
So the drought tolerant grasses, the modern irrigation system, that all kind of plays into the courses, the club's long-term sustainability goals.
Yeah, and we basically, have actually sensors now on the back of the fairway units that as they're cutting the grass, they're actually taking measurements of the moisture in the soil. We've got weather stations. We've got stuff buried in the ground. They're doing stuff, using, stuff to drive the water when we do get rain. And it ultimately, with the recycled water plant, we're, pretty much off potable water, which is incredible, doing our part when it comes to California and our drought situation.
So I read in a release, which is what prompted me to reach out to you about this, about strategic widths and diverse bunker. You had mentioned the bunkers. How does this balance between like the challenge of the golfers for the low handicap, but also the playability for say like the 15, 18 handicappers and up?
There, I would say the biggest challenge is the fairway bunkers are a little bit deeper than they're used to for the average golfer. Um, and I explained to him that, when you go play in Scotland or Ireland, you know to play away from the bunkers. They're a hazard. You play a different, you shouldn't, take those bunkers and, you should play away from them, whether it be play short on a hole or play longer on a hole, but you need to play a little bit more strategic. And so quietly, those types of comments of members coming off the course have come down, because they're figuring out the golf course, so to speak.
So with the improvements of the golf course, we talking about having hosting some competitive tournaments, your
You
opportunities
know,
going forward?
that would be wonderful. We're in a popular area for those types of tournaments, with being in a big major city. We're right at 7,000 yards, which in today's game, might make it difficult to host some of the longer, events where you have the top players. But, there are some talks, where we're very interested in, possibly doing something, with USGA. But ultimately, right now the big focus is just getting it, grown in, getting some, people to come out and experience it, make sure that, we got it right before we go after some of that.
Yeah, I mean 7,000 is more than enough for me, but I imagine those big bombers, those young flat bellies at Stanford, that's a pitch and a putt for them, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had, the Stanford's right nearby. We have a member that a family that's real good friends with Rose Zhang. She's come out and played the golf course. She absolutely loves it. Some of the Stanford golf team has come over. They're very impressed with it. It's one of those things where, first year, a lot of courses, their greens aren't real receptive. I couldn't tell you if it was the grow-in season, when the greens were grown in or what, but ultimately the greens are very fair. You're not landing on the front of the green and, with your pitching wedge and the ball's rolling to the back of the green, which happens usually at most courses for the first couple of years. It feels like these greens are already ready, to be fair to any type of golfer.
That's terrific. Good on Todd Eckenrode and his team, I guess, for putting that together, right? And your maintenance squad as well for the day to days. Speaking of maintenance, the golf course is maybe in the rear view now. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff still going on, but you have a new operations center coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about the operations center?
Yeah, so our current maintenance building is in the middle of the golf course, and it's been there for a long time. And it's, those types of buildings, unless invested back into them, they start to get weathered from years and years and years. And ultimately, to have the right situation for them to work on the types of equipment and the investment that you put into some of these mowers and equipment, you need some good spacing. And so right next to our water reclamation plant, we are building a new operations center. And the nice part with that operations center is we'll also have basically the maintenance department will have the equipment on the bottom level, and then we'll have office spaces at the top. So we'll have our engineering department, we'll have our HR department, we'll have our accounting department, and even our general manager will have an office over there with the superintendent and all that. So the amount of teamwork, I've worked at golf courses before, and when those maintenance yards are a mile away, they feel like they're kind of, not part of the operation or the culture of the team. And this will make everybody work together, and we'll all be on the same page, striving to be the best.
So efficiency, effectiveness of golf course maintenance, everything's going up, 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 huh?
Yeah, for sure. And then also, around the building, there's future plans for possibly solar. That's, being looked at as well. We're just trying to be as sustainable as possible and we're, landlocked. We have the Highway 280 right next to where this building's going. But the cool part about it is it's overlooking basically these mountains that separate us from the ocean. And it's a beautiful part of this state where we're at.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures. I've not been out there myself, but it's gorgeous. Your property looks fantastic. So during construction of the Golf Operations Center, how will that disrupt the day-to-day of not only your maintenance team, but your members, and how are you communicating with the members about what's going on?
So the beauty of it is it was an area that was actually not being used where it's going in. So ultimately, it won't affect anything because currently the current maintenance yard is functional, albeit it's very old. And then the accounting department's over here in our clubhouse and the HR department and stuff like that. So this will just be like an additional building, which does present, we are trying to figure out what's that going to cost to operate, because now we have an extra building that we have electricity, sewer, all that kind of stuff, and trying to forecast future, budgets. So the nice part is it doesn't really disrupt anything. It's an addition.
So, as a director of golf, you wear a lot of hats around the club, I'm sure. How do you communicate with the superintendent and the maintenance team on a day-to-day from the golf side to the maintenance side? Are you on a regular communication chain with the big guy over there?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where we're typically the ears and the eyes from the feedback of the members, and then he obviously needs time to basically put work back into the golf course. We're going to meet here in a minute about scheduling, but it's a constant. You get times a year where you've got possible frost delays. We're communicating, really early in the morning, trying to predict when the golf course is going to open. We also, which wasn't mentioned earlier, this is the first time I've ever worked at a property where we don't have a range picker. We actually bought the robotic Echo mower and picker for our driving range. And so that's been, kind of an interesting thing trying to, our driving range was completely redone as well. So, you got some grow in there. We got to fix some little holes here and there. The robot gets stuck, but ultimately, we've got the little robotic mower and picker, which is going to, over time, save on labor. The nice part is the mower and the picker weigh about 100 pounds each. So our driving range is absolutely immaculate. It looks like Augusta out there.
I've seen the Echo range picker at the GCSAA conferences. It's spectacular to watch these things work. Terrific. I'll get you out on this one. If you could, I know you're still relatively new to Menlo Park, but I want you to get your crystal ball out. I want you to look in there 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, a lot going on. So we still have the Golf Operations Center to look forward to. But what do you foresee happening at the club in the next 5, 10 years?
We're a full service club. We have a pool. We have a swim team in the summer for the kids. We have tennis and pickleball. You're seeing a growth in some other things similar to pickleball, the Patel. I don't even know if I said that correctly, but I know at my former club, they just added it on one of their courts. I think that there'll be some investment into, the tennis and pickleball facilities. The clubhouse itself, we're right at the top of a hill. People are demanding, a really nice fitness center. We have a nice fitness center, but I think we will expand that and make that better. And then with that will come some more integration between the golf department and the fitness department, because we might move it closer to, the golf, maybe down in the main level of the clubhouse so that you could go warm up before a round of golf and actually come out to the driving range ready to swing a club, which would be great for our membership, because golf, as we know, is a sport. And some of these people just show up and just start swinging a club and they wonder why their back hurts or this hurts or that hurts. They need to be more dynamic about getting ready to play. And then we also, we have a course up the road that they don't have a practice facility. So they put in some indoor hitting bays. They did a really nice job with 6 indoor simulators. And I could see, us adding some of that to our clubhouse because during the winter time, our members love to practice and having the ability to hit indoors when the weather's not so good for those winter months. And then, there's some time in the summer where it can get, 90 degrees. And, when you're not used to it, it feels really hot. So those, I think, would get some use. So, other than that, looking at a great golf event to give back to the game, of golf. It's not just about, trying to show off. It's about how can we do our part to give back to the game, through a U.S. Junior or a U.S. Women's Senior Open or something like that.
So no shortage of excitement this past summer and next 5, 10 years. Up, 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 huh?
Yeah, we're gonna have fun. It's a great membership that, I consider some clubs kind of more your second or your third club. This is more of your primary club. People, this is where they raise their families. This is where they play a lot of their golf. And then they go away maybe to their, summer home or their winter home. But we're their primary club and we want it to be the best.
All right, fantastic. Shawn Cox, thank you very much for joining us, man.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.